No one expected a 6-year-old boy to camp out beside a grave in the middle of autumn. And yet, there he was, Noah Carter, curled up on a pile of fallen leaves, his tiny fingers gripping a worn-out leash like it was the last string holding his heart together. The townspeople of Asheville, North Carolina had grown used to the strange sight. Every morning, they'd drive past Rosefield Cemetery, and see that same little boy sitting beside a freshly dug grave, rain or shine, whispering to the stone like it could answer him. Most assumed he'd lost a grandparent. A few thought he was just playing make-believe. But no one dared ask. Because grief, especially the kind that grips a child, has a way of scaring people into silence. But what no one knew was that the grave didn't belong to a person. It belonged to a dog. Not just any dog, though. Ranger had been Noah's best friend, protector, and the only real family he had left. After a car accident took his parents a year earlier, Ranger had never left his side. The dog had literally pulled him from the wreckage. They said it was a miracle. They said Noah should have died. But no one ever talked about what happened after. No one asked why Noah stopped speaking. Why he flinched every time someone touched him. Why his aunt, who'd taken custody, never came to visit the grave herself. Then, one cold November morning, something changed. As the sun crawled over the Blue Ridge Mountains, a shadow fell across the grave. Noah looked up for the first time in days. A man stood there. Not someone from town. Not family. A stranger. Tall. Worn boots. Military jacket. And in his hand, a photo. Of Noah. And Ranger. But the photo was taken years before Noah was even born. Noah blinked up at the man, unsure if he was real or just another shape his mind was playing with. The wind tugged at the edge of the photo in the man's hand, but he held it firm. Slowly, he knelt down to the boy's level, his face softening as he looked into Noah's eyes. "You probably don't know me," the man said gently. His voice was raspy, like someone who hadn't spoken much in a long time. "My name's Jack Morrison. I came here looking for answers. But I didn't expect this." Noah didn't say a word. He hadn't spoken in weeks. Jack noticed the leash in his hand, frayed and dirty, the metal clasp still scratched from Ranger's collar. Jack's eyes flicked to the gravestone. Ranger, loyal friend, hero, family. 2015 to 2025. He swallowed hard. "I served with a dog once," Jack continued, his voice quieter now. "In Afghanistan. Name was Ranger, too. Looked just like him." Noah's brows twitched. Just a flicker. But Jack noticed. "I know it sounds crazy," Jack said, now pulling the photo from a protective sleeve. He held it out, letting Noah take it. "That's me. And that's Ranger. Taken in 2008. Noah stared. The dog in the picture looked identical. Same amber eyes. Same scar under the left ear. Same soulful expression. But it wasn't possible. Ranger had been born in 2015. That's what the vet said. That's what the records showed. Noah shook his head slowly, lips pressed tight. Jack sighed, sitting down beside him on the cold ground. "When I came back from overseas, Ranger vanished. Just disappeared. No one ever found him." He looked toward the headstone again. "I didn't come here to stir things up, kid. I just followed a story I didn't believe myself. But now," he paused. "Now I'm starting to wonder if this dog, your Ranger, is somehow the same one." Noah finally looked at him, really looked. His small voice broke through the silence. "Ranger saved me." Jack didn't flinch when Noah spoke. He just nodded slowly, like he'd been waiting for that voice, soft and cracked as it was, for years. "I believe you," Jack said. "Ranger saved me too." They sat in silence for a while, the wind rustling through the yellowing trees above. Autumn in Asheville had a way of making everything feel quieter, as if the world was holding its breath. Jack finally asked, "Do you know how he found you?" Noah nodded. "After the accident. I was trapped. I couldn't move. My parents, they were gone. But Ranger pulled me out. He bit through my seatbelt. Dragged me through the glass. He barked and barked until someone stopped their car and helped." Jack swallowed hard. The same thing had happened to him once, pinned under rubble during a night raid. His Ranger had clawed through broken concrete to reach him, barking until his team found them. The scars on Jack's ribs still ached when it rained. But dogs didn't live forever. And this timeline didn't make sense. "I don't know how this is possible," Jack said quietly. "But I remember that scar under the ear. I gave it to him by accident. Barbed wire." He yelped so loud, I cried. Noah reached up, fingers brushing over his own cheek as if trying to process it all. Jack continued, "You know what's strange? I followed your story after seeing a photo online. A firefighter posted it after the crash. He said a shepherd saved a kid, then walked away like nothing happened. Just disappeared." Noah's eyes widened. "He did that. He always did that." Jack's voice cracked. "That's what Ranger used to do in the army. Save people. Then vanish back into the dust." The two stared at the grave again, its flowers wilted but untouched. Jack stood up slowly. "I think your Ranger, maybe he wasn't just a dog. Maybe he was something more. He didn't mean it in a mystical way. But in a way only those saved by a soul like that could understand." Then Jack said something that made Noah freeze. "I think Ranger came back. For one last mission." The idea hung in the air like fog. Ranger came back for one last mission. Noah couldn't stop thinking about those words. He looked at the photo again. Jack was much younger in it, in uniform, holding a leash. The dog by his side looked just like the one buried in front of him. Too much like him. Jack sat back down beside the boy, hands folded. "When I lost Ranger, I was broken," he said. "We had been through explosions, gunfire, nights so cold we slept under burned-out tanks. He never left my side. Saved my life more times than I can count." He paused, watching Noah carefully. "When the war ended, I brought him home. He stayed with me for a year. But one morning, he was just gone. Gate was locked. No signs of digging. No scent trail. It was like he vanished into thin air." Jack chuckled softly, but it was hollow. "At first, I thought I was going crazy. Who loses a dog like that?" Noah whispered, "He does that. Just disappears." Jack nodded. "Yeah. Only now I'm wondering. Maybe he didn't disappear. Maybe he was needed somewhere else." They sat quietly, watching the light fade behind the trees. In the distance, a few leaves drifted down, crunching softly as they landed near the stone. Then Noah stood. For the first time in days, he wasn't hugging the leash. He was holding the photo, staring at the young Ranger, the military uniform, and the man who now sat beside him. "Do you think," Noah's voice cracked, "he knew?" "Knew what?" "That I needed him." Jack's throat tightened. "Yeah. I think he always knew." Noah bent down and placed the photo gently at the base of the headstone. "He saved me. Then stayed long enough to make sure I was okay. And then." Jack finished the sentence for him. "Mission complete." That night, Noah didn't sleep at the cemetery. He went home with Jack. Not because anyone told him to, but because, somehow, he felt like Ranger wanted him to. Jack's house sat on the edge of town, a modest cabin wrapped in pine trees and silence. It smelled of leather, old books, and a hint of coffee that never seemed to fade. Noah walked in slowly, unsure. Everything was unfamiliar, yet strangely comforting. On the mantel above the fireplace sat an old wooden box, worn smooth by time. Jack noticed Noah looking at it. "That belonged to Ranger," he said quietly. He pulled the box down, placed it on the table, and opened it. Inside were a few worn dog tags, a folded bandana, a chewed-up rubber ball, and a sealed envelope. Jack stared at the envelope, hesitating. "It's from my commander. He gave it to me the day Ranger disappeared. Told me not to open it unless I ever found him again." He looked at Noah. "And now? I think I have." With trembling fingers, Jack opened the envelope. The letter was handwritten, in tight, clean script. "If you're reading this, then somehow, he found his way back to you. Or someone who needed him just as much. Ranger wasn't like other dogs. You knew that. We all did. There were times I wondered if he even was a dog. After every mission, he'd vanish. Then show up when another soldier needed saving. No one ever figured it out. And maybe we weren't supposed to. But I believe Ranger was sent for people like us. The broken ones. The ones on the edge. And when his job is done, he moves on. Quietly. Without asking for anything in return." Jack's voice broke as he read the last line aloud. "When you find him again, thank him for me." He folded the letter and slid it back into the envelope with care. Noah wiped at his eyes. "Do you think he's gone for good this time?" Jack shook his head. "I don't know, kid. But if he is, he picked the right person to leave his legacy with." Noah looked up. "Me?" Jack smiled. "You. He saved you for a reason. And now, maybe it's your turn to pass it on." Noah didn't reply. But something in his eyes shifted. A quiet strength. A spark. Weeks passed. Noah didn't return to the cemetery every day. He didn't need to. Ranger wasn't just in the ground anymore. He was in the silence before sunrise, in the warmth of a blanket Jack tucked around him, in the quiet strength Noah started to find in himself. At school, the teachers noticed the change. He still didn't talk much, but when he did, it was with a confidence no one had heard before. He asked to help feed the therapy animals on campus. He volunteered to walk shelter dogs on weekends. And when a new student showed up crying in the hallway, it was Noah who sat beside her, handing her a juice box and just listened. One afternoon, Jack picked him up from school. They drove in silence until Noah said, "Do you think Ranger's helping someone else now?" Jack smiled. "I hope so. I think he would have liked that girl today," Noah added. "The one who was scared." "Why's that?" "Because she reminded me of me. Before." Jack glanced at him. "You're not scared anymore?" Noah thought for a long moment. Then shook his head. "Not as much." They turned down a quiet road near the shelter. As they pulled in, a worker approached holding a clipboard. "You're just in time," she said. "We've got someone I think you two should meet." She led them to a small pen near the back. A young shepherd pup stood alone, ears too big for his head, tail wagging nervously. His fur was a mix of gray and gold, not quite like Ranger's, but his eyes, they had that same steady glow. Noah knelt down. The puppy crept forward and rested his head in the boy's lap like it was exactly where he belonged. "What's his name?" Noah asked. The worker smiled. "No name yet. He was found wandering near the mountains. No chip, no tags. Just showed up." Jack looked at Noah. Noah looked back, and for the first time in months, he smiled, full and bright. "Let's call him Echo," he whispered. Because maybe, he's not Ranger. But I think I can still hear him in there.